Hey guys, it's Walling here and welcome to another video after quite a long hiatus, like only uploading the top 8 cut from our monthly tournaments. And yeah, this time I'm back with some deck profiles and some small tournament reports. And I also took a page out of Mr. Bazad's book of clickbait titles, although it's like not like really clickbait, but um, I think you know what I mean. Yeah, so as you guys might know, I don't participate in our IDC tournaments. Yeah, different reasons for that, but yeah, that's not the point. The IDC format is like DM 1 to 12 with only Bombazar banned, and I recently stumbled across some other servers which also host Duel Masters tournaments pretty regularly in different formats, and I'm pretty excited for those since I really like building decks for formats I haven't played before. And yeah, I joined 4 tournaments in a row, and I won all 4 tournaments in a row. So yeah, let's quickly go over some stuff here. The 4 tournaments I played, what decks I played, what like the meta, quote unquote meta was, and yeah, let's jump right into it. So for the first format, there is some introduction needed, and the first format is Classic 05. It's basically a format which was created by some um, Japanese players, content creators, because yeah, as you guys know, the game is still alive over there, the OCG, and like similarly to like Goat format in Yu-Gi-Oh, like Edison, whatever, they created a format where only cards up until like 2005 are allowed. That's why it's called like Classic 05. And they also have created a custom ban list, unless it would be like Bombazar Masters, I think. And the ban list is here. So basically, the first 2 rows, these cards you can only have 1 copy of in your deck. And the bottom row, if you pick 1 card out of these, then the rest becomes unavailable to you. So the rest is banned for your deck. So if you pick one, like Skeleton Vice, you can't pick Curse Totem, Soul Swap, and so on. Yeah, so you don't have to agree necessarily with the ban list. There are some questionable picks there, like Clone Nightmare, Miraculous Truth. Like, why are they even on 2? Like Jagila, like the Wave Striker, Jagila, Zapion. Maybe I can see Zapion Tag, but Jagila when like Soul Swap is super restricted. Yeah, don't know. And why would anyone play like the Galbarius Dragon over something like Bombazar? Or yeah, but I guess you get the point. So basically, if you don't ban anything, then the format is pretty wild. But yeah, the ban list is needed, and yeah, for the most part, it worked pretty good, pretty fine. And there is also not sure where the source is from that, like a quote unquote tier list, which I don't agree with, but this is something we have, and in their country, when they play locals in their card stores, I heard that they are a bit more casual and not like try-harding as much. And in the first row, basically, tier 1 is like Ruck, Bombazar, and Fire Darkness Nature Bombazar, FN Rush. Then tier 2, Mono Fire Rush, Mono Blue, Pacific, Aggro, whatever, also Rush maybe. Then Ruby deck out, then Bombazar with some other colors which are not blue or black. then some Rub Control, don't know what this is, and Heaven's Gate. So yeah, pretty interesting format. I think it is pretty fun to play. And we had a pretty small tournament on the Duel Masters webcam USA tournament server. I will leave a link down in the description below, so you can also join the events there. Mostly they will be played via webcam. But for this format, since all the cards are pretty unavailable for us in European, American, the TCG area basically, we played via Octagon, OCTGN. It's basically a card game simulator where we can play Duel Masters, and they also have pretty much every card up until like the most recent set, I believe. And we also use this simulator for our International Duel Masters Cup tournaments. And this is my winning list here from the first Classic 05 tournament. But we only had like 5 participants. So even though it's a wins, yeah, I don't think you can really, I mean, yeah, count on that. But the deck felt pretty good here. The meta was, I think, 2 other Bombazar decks, a Ruby deck out and a Heaven's Gate deck. And basically every match felt like winnable, favorable. And I lost against Ruby Deco. Like one game I have to mention, where basically my opponent was like in an unwinnable game state. I think I had like a card advantage of like +5 if you compare like hand and board and mana. But he basically transmogrified my Galamutta on board and hit my one of Bombazar, and he also was on like one of Transmogrify, top deck Transmogrify, Galamutta for Bombazar, and then I could only break like 5 shields and not 6. So yeah, this was pretty funny for him, not for me. Yeah, but still managed to win. And the Dreaming, let's go over like card by card. Dreaming Moonknife. Let's start first on why I played 4 colors and not 3 colors. So according to the tier list here, my Bombazar deck should be in tier 3, since it's not Water and Darkness. It's both together, but I think it's even above those. I think it's like the best Bombazar version, and maybe it's the best deck in the format, but yeah, didn't play that much games. Although there was a second Classic 05 tournament, which we will come to later. Yeah, the deck felt really strong. Dreaming Moonknife, if you don't know what this card does, it's basically Poisonous Mushroom, but a Beast Folk. And the reason we play the Beast Folk over the, I don't know what race even the Poisonous Mushroom um, is Galamutta, because Galamutta has like a Sympathy, which is a new mechanic here. And it basically reads, this card costs 1 less to summon for each Beast Folk and Death Puppet on your field. So Dream Moonknife, Beast Folk, Brosam Trap, of course, Beast Folk. Here are also 6 Death Puppets, so you can easily play it for like 5 for 3, or I think I even managed to play it for 2 mana. It can't cost less than 2 because you still need it can't cost less than 3 because you still need the mana requirements in Nature and Darkness to cast this creature. And Galamutta reads, when this creature attacks, neither player can use shield trigger abilities for the rest of the turn. So basically a Cryptic Totem, but only single breaker. Yeah, so for Dreaming Moonknife, basically out of the book from Rug Bombazar in the DMTCG. Yeah, for Boros Type for Terrahorn, which is like unusual if you compare this to like the TCG version. But since you are only allowed to play 1 Bombazar, you really want to search this card over the course of the game. And of course, Terrahorn is also a creature that can attack. For Bombazar, it curves nicely with like the Dream Moonknife and Brosam Tribe. So yeah, no Dimension Gate here. Then we have some restricted cards. Emerald Spiral Gate, you can only play like 1 of. And even I wouldn't play even the Spiral Gate, but I needed some water mana for some fixing. mana color fixing consistency. Then your typical 4 Hulkos for Surfer, wouldn't change anything here. Yeah, basically you play water just because of Hulkos mostly, and also Surfer. There are a lot of, not a lot, but there are aggro type of decks, which we saw, like the mono fire and the FN Rush and the mono blue stuff. Also some human shenanigans. I think in the second tournament someone played fire water, aggro or rush. This is basically Velios for 3 mana, which is pretty busted. So you definitely need more defense, and Surfer is better than Terrapit in this deck. So yeah, basically an upgrade. And you also play water because of this card, also a restricted card, Judgment of Flamespear and Waterblade. It's basically a Blizzard of Spears, but it kills everything that is 3k or below. And for every creature that is destroyed, you can draw 1 card. So yeah. The one of Slash Charger might seem odd, but again, you want to slash your opponent's one of Bombazar. So this is why Ruck Bombazar doesn't work. Basically, your Bombazar gets slashed, and then you just play a worse version of Ruck aggro. So yeah, don't do that. For Jenny, probably like the most unrestricted OP card. Maybe the Heaven's Gate is another contender, but it's basically you look at your opponent's hand, you get the information, you discard the best card out of their hand, and then yeah, you are happy. And it curves nicely like Dream Knife into Jenny, turn 3 Jenny, maybe get the opponent's Jenny, get the opponent's Bombazar, whatever, out of the hand. And then Moors is another really good card. So 5 mana 2k, when you play it, you return a creature from your graveyard to your hand. So if your Bombazar gets slashed with this card, you can get it back. And it has even more upside when there are 6 or more creatures in your graveyard. You can play this card for no cost, so basically for free. Which is nice in some Grandia games, and then you don't even care with like the Judgment if you destroy your own creatures, since you can then play the Moors for no cost. So I would definitely, yeah, also not skip Darkness in this version, in this deck, just because of like these cards, like, yeah, so good. Also Galamuta, which we talked about earlier, just really good cards here. And the main disadvantage of playing 4 colors is that you don't have access to Gonta, which might hurt, and this is something we come to now in the fire section. There is a card called Hell's Scraper. It's basically Apocalypse Vice, but it only kills creatures with a total power of 5k or less, but it's a shield trigger. So basically a buffed APOC, I would say. And when you only have like creatures like 1k, 1k, 2k, 1k, 2k, 1k, then pretty much your whole border's gone when you run into Hellscraper. And with Gonta, of course, with 4k, the opponent can only kill like Gonta and then one other creature. So Gonta helps against decks which are on 4 Hellscrapers. And I basically said I want to play around the Hellscraper as much as possible. Attack with like small creatures first. Maybe have a Galamuta on board. And this deck can play like a Turbo Bombazar aggro deck when the opponent is also on aggro, like with Dream Knife, Brosam Tribe, Ramp into Bombazar game. But most of the time I wanted to play like a mid-range deck where we got some card advantage in like the Brosam Tribe, Hulkos, Terrahorn, Jenny package. And even not commit onto like the Bombazar line if I'm afraid of the shield trigger, just with Terrahorn search for Jagalza instead of Bombazar, and then you go like Tribe, Terrahorn, Jagalza, and then start attacking, and if the opponent has like an Hellscraper, Jagalza will survive, and then later in the game you can follow up with something like a Bombazar. So yeah, many different lines, and Also, the two last cards which we haven't talked about are Bajula's Soul, another restricted card. So this is like another win condition for this deck. Again, really good card, maybe even broken. It is a cross gear, which is also a new mechanic. So you have to pay 5 mana, then you put this card on the battle zone, and it's like an equipment card when you are also playing like something like Magic the Gathering. You have to pay the 5 mana again, and then you can basically equip this card to a creature you control, or like in the Duel Masters terms, you can cross this card with another creature, and then the creature gets two bonus effects. The first effect is it gets plus 2k power and breaks one more shield, which should be an upside, but breaking one more shield is most of the time, I think, a downside, because you don't want to break that much shields in fear of like a shield trigger from the opponent. But it's a ability that it's not a May, it has to, but you play this card because of the second ability. And as you guys might have guessed from the name Bajula, whenever the creature attacks, choose 2 cards from the opponent's mana zone and put them into the graveyard. So basically, you play, I don't know, Dream Moon Knife or Brosam Tribe, and then the turn after you play Bajula's Soul, and then your opponent has to answer basically every creature you will ever play until the rest of the game. Because the cross gear, you need some specific cards that specifically mention destroy a cross gear in the battle zone. Otherwise, this card will stay on the board forever. And yeah, as soon as like a creature survives one turn, you can equip or cross the Bajula's Soul to it and then start attacking and start mana burning. So yeah, really good card. And in a matchup against control, getting this out early on is like pretty much game. And yeah, the last 2 cards are 2 Galax, which are again for the Heaven's Gate get decks. And yeah, just when they cheat out some huge blockers, you play this card and say, I don't care. Or also bounce with like Spiral Gate. And yeah, this was like the first tournament. Let's quickly jump to the second tournament, which is like not in the timeline in order. It was played on another Duel Masters Discord server on I'm not sure what the server is even called now. It's called Duema Classic 05 Tournament Series, and it's hosted by Sasu. Other tournament organizers are Otto and Xboom, so our Finnish friends. Meanwhile, the Webcam Duel Masters USA server is hosted by Furin. I hope that I pronounced the name correctly, Furin, genau. Yeah, and the second tournament was, yeah, as I said, hosted by Sasu, and we had more participants. I think we had like, let's quickly check how many participants we had. Yeah, we had 19. So yeah, boosting up the count from 5 to 19 is pretty huge. And this server was previously known as like TCG Plus. And TCG Plus is basically TCG but with DM13 added, and then some like no restrictions like Bombazar's free, and also like some OCG cards instead of the TCG ones, so Aquan and Skeleton Vice and so on, Cyberbrain. Yeah, but they didn't have like that much participants anymore, getting lower and lower, and they switched to the Duel Masters Classic 05 since like it's a official, semi-official format over there in Japan. And I also entered with Grub Bombazar with some slight changes and managed to go undefeated and also win this tournament with 19 participants. So let's quickly go over the changes I made. The first change, I went down in Dream Moon Knife, basically exchanged one Dream Moon Knife for Fairy Life. The reason for that is, or there are 2 reasons. The first reason is I played against a card which is called another Judgment of Angels, Grave, something. It's basically a multicolor shield trigger spell, 4 mana, light and darkness, and the card reads: you check the battle zone. If there are 2 or more creatures with the same name, destroy all of them, and then you check the mana zone. If there are 2 or more cards with the same name, and you destroy all of them. So when you play this card, you have to build your deck around it, where you only play like one-offs, for example. And the opponent gets punished when they are playing like 4-offs. And with 4 mana, also Shield Trigger comes down really early. So that's why I exchanged Wandering Moon Knife for Fairy Life for one reason. The other reason was I figured that I wanted to play more like a mid-range deck and less than like a turbo aggro Bombazar rush deck. And losing one card to the Wandering Moon Knife hurt me more than like losing the creature on board when you play Fairy Life. Of course, one thing to mention is that with Fairy Life, there's one more effect which could put your Bombazar into Mana Zone from the top of your deck. But that's a risk I'm willing to take. Only 5 cards with this effect here together with the Browsam Tribe. And if it gets in the Mana Zone, it is what it is. It's only a one-off, so it's unlikely, but you can still win other ways, like we said earlier with Bajula's Soul and Jagalza, outgrinding the opponent even. And or like a huge board backed up with like a Galamuta. And I don't play something like Thrashcaller, Solid Skin, Fish to get something back from the Mana Zone. I only want to play like good cards that contribute to my game plan, yeah, and not some like semi cards which needs to be drawn not early on, later on, and then also your Bombazar needs to be in the Mana Zone for it. And I mean, getting back other cards in the later game is nice, but Bombazar definitely the most important one. And I don't want to cut like, I don't know, a Hulkos for Solid Skin Fish, and then yeah. The other change I made was cutting another Dreaming Moon Knife for Miraculous Plague. And also exchanging one Galak for Rebirth. So basically some mana fixing I did here. I went up to 6 multicolor cards from 5 multicolor cards before. Because now we have like 12 water sources, I think. We have 10, yeah, 11, 12. Before we only had 11. And with 11 you can barely play Hulkos consistently, but now Spirogate Emerald, and I wanted to play like one more. And Plague, another restricted card. I basically thought, how many restricted cards can I fit into one deck? And the answer was yes, I can. Yeah, Galamuta also restricted. And this card really helps, is nice in your mid-range game plan, where you can also bounce like the opponent's blockers that came down from Heaven's Gate, for example. Further complements like the small mana burn package with Bajula's Soul. And also, since I lost like one Galak, so one less answer to Heaven's Gate, I had to add like one more back. And then the Rebirth I added because Nerial, I had some problems against Nerial since I have like some bounce spells, but destruction effects, it was only like Hell Scraper and Judgment. And usually you charge the Hell Scraper as soon as you see it, like before turn 5. Like after that you can maybe argue to hold it. But yeah, a few answers or a few permanent answers against Nerial, which can, yeah, basically stop your Bombazar, Terrahorn, and so on, Galamuta. Jagalzor, you can't even attack when you equip something with Bajula's Soul, since if you equip like a 1k creature, it gets like 3k, and Nerial just stops that again. And Rebirth, generally really good. You have a really good like 3-drop, 4-drop, 5-drop, 6-drop target, even 7-drop if the opponent plays something like Kachua, for example. So yeah, also like further complements like the mid-range like game plan. And yeah, again, every matchup felt favorable. I didn't drop a match, went undefeated. We can later check the stats, like how many games I lost and won in all the tournaments I played. Yeah, so I think nothing more to add here. Pretty solid, I think. Further felt that it is like one of the best decks, maybe the best deck in the format, and I think this deck is like nearly perfectly built. Of course, now maybe with like the one more water cut, you can exchange the Spiral Gate for one more Hell Scraper. But yeah, Spiral Gate has some advantages in like bouncing the opponent's blockers from Heaven's Gate, which Hell Scraper can't kill, but of course is like the better shield trigger. I think in my mind I only have like 2 more changes you could make, but I won't spoil them yet. Maybe I will play this deck in the future. Yeah, it definitely is fun to play. And as you might know, I'm known for playing mid-range deck types, and this suits me very well. So yeah, let's jump to the next tournament, which was then played again on the webcam tournament server, and this was also a pretty interesting one. So I decided to join it as well. And also some context needs to be given here. There was a custom ban list, and on our IDC tournament server we have Claude Alpha, who is providing us with useful statistics, and one of his statistics is which card has the most like tournament wins together. And Furin basically took the top 50 cards from this list, top 50 cards from this list, and banned them. And these are like the top 50 cards, like the best card, or not the best card, but the card who won like the most tournaments. Brotham Tribe, then Soul Swap, then Terrapit, then basically some FN Rush stuff here. Skysword in the mix, File, and so on and so forth, basically up until Magress. So these are all 50 cards here were banned. So the power level was brought down quite a bit, and there was some interesting dynamics, interesting meta game, interesting decks people came up, and I also had like 2 decks in mind, and immediately when I saw the list. And also some additional stuff which was banned was like all survivors and all wave strikers, because he figured, or he also made like a poll. I think we thought that when you ban, or the power level has brought down quite a bit, then some like generic synergizing cards are pretty good. And as you see, like in the top 50 cards, there were no Factory Shell, no Grave Worm, no Sapiant Tag, no Jagular. So this could have brought some huge problems, which was prevented, and I think it was correct to ban those 2 archetypes. And then some usual stuff like Bombas are banned, and also Future Slash, since the slash spells are pretty complicated to resolve in like a webcam based tournament, so the opponent has to like show you the deck over the webcam. So like shuffling through like 30 cards, 25 cards, and they don't and they are not allowed to see them themselves, so only like the opponent, and depending on the camera, I mean, this is like such a mess. And then yeah, just ban it. Maybe you can like quote unquote change the effect, like nerf it, where like Future Slash and also Slash Charger read discard the top card of the opponent's deck with Slash Charger, and with Future Slash discard the top 2 cards from the opponent's deck, and then you can just play this card again, which could open up some deck out strategies. Maybe Darkness gets some needed Brotham Tribe, and not like the Venom Charger stuff, which is useless. Which is a thought for the future. But yeah, this was the ban list up until Magress, or like basically everything you see here was banned up until Magress, were the top 50 cards. And the deck which immediately came to my mind when I scrolled to the 51 till 100 something places was that Alzonius is not here. Of course, When you look at some other stuff from Alzonius, Aquahulkos is banned, Belix is banned, Magus, the 50th card, is also banned. This hurts. If this was like 51, this deck would be so good. Maybe you can include Arc is banned as well. No Surfer, no Holy R, so yeah, but still I thought that no Petrova, so a lot of cards from Alzonius is banned, but Alzonius itself is not banned. Also Zirion is not banned, the best bait. So I decided to bring this deck, Light, Water, Darkness, Alidus. So basically Alzonius and Hydrus together. 7 evolution creatures, which in hindsight was a bit too much, but oh well. Yeah, also managed to win this tournament. And I thought there are so many cards banned. Alzonius must be good. There's no Sky Swap shenanigans. But I was wrong. Alzonius was really underwhelming. There were so many like random stuff. But of course, when the 50 best cards, like quote unquote best cards, are banned, then some random stuff is showing up. I played it against like Armorloid. So there is Rotos and Stagandu, which can easily answer Alzonius. I played also against some Hydrus deck with Hourglass Mutant, which gives like the other creature Slayer, so they can kill the Alzonius. I played against some Light Blocker Wall with Aeris and Alcadeas, which can run over Alzonius. I don't know, there's Melnia Legal. I played against Pinsir Scarab, so like Fairy Life into Pinsir Scarab was like game over for me. Turn 3 Pinsir Scarab, double breaking every turn. There was no clean answer early on, no Surfer. And then Adonis is useless since Pinsir Scarab will be at, I don't know, 11k, or pretty much 9k and above all of the time. Yeah, just so many stuff that were beating the Alzonius. So in hindsight, I should have went down one Alzonius and put in one more Merfolk. I don't know why we're only on 3 Merfolks, because it's the only draw on the deck, and I play so many like Cyberlords with like Emerald, Coral, Hydrus, and Zirion. Yeah, this was like a mistake. And also Belmol, really underwhelming. It has to block, and a lot of people were on stuff like Tajimal, also Zirion, also the Water Darkness, 3 mana 4k stuff like Dormel, which can all run over Belmol, and it's only useful for like on turn 7, like instant Alzonius. Yeah. Yeah, I think pretty standard stuff for the rest of the version. 8 multicolor cards, really a lot. But yeah, so basically turn 1 you charge a multicolor card no matter what it is. Since when you don't charge them, you top deck another multicolor, then maybe another one. Suddenly you have to charge like some good cards which you wanted to play earlier. Yeah. And the one of Bonds of Justice, it didn't came up. I said it with Emerald, I think once or twice, but game was over before the enemy broke into it. It's basically Holy Hour at home. It taps everything except blockers. So when the opponent like decides to run in, maybe they can play around like the one colon, which they know I'm playing 4 of. I mean, they saw them earlier when I charged them in mana, and they could assume I'm playing 4. And then they run into Bonds of Justice and suddenly they lose. You can't really hardcast it since you don't play blockers, you only play like these 4. So it's basically only charge mana or set it with Emerald and hope the opponent doesn't play around it. Yeah, otherwise some basic stuff, Coral, when the meta is like slowing down, pretty huge. There were also like some Fire Nature Dragon stuff, which was pretty good, I think. If they built the deck a bit more, not correctly, but optimize the deck a bit more, could be really strong. Because like Fairy Life, Kokolupia, and then Valerica is just like so good. You don't have like early answers for Kokolupia, as we saw. Volcano Charger is banned, Swap is banned, Miraculous Snare is banned, so all the early stuff is pretty much gone, so Coccolupia will most likely survive all the time. And then you can follow it up with like even double, is it like Melgas or like the 4-drop 6k Necrodagon something for mana 6k double breaker, so you can play some aggro stuff even. I think the strategy is pretty viable. Yeah, but nonetheless, the deck felt good. Again, the one change I would make. And I also have some other deck in mind. Maybe we can play this format again. It was also pretty fun to play. Yeah, also managed to win this tournament, and then let's go over the last tournament I joined and also won is a Mono Civilization tournament, which was I'm also was pretty excited about because I have like one Mono Civ deck in paper, which I never played. And I don't think in the past we also had some bonus IDC with like Mono Civilization, so this was like the first Mono Civ tournament. And we also decided to nerf water a bit, so Hulkus and Cowell were at 2, were restricted, because when they are both at 4, in my opinion, water is the best deck in this whole format. Some other people like not disagree, but we're like arguing, yeah, just try it out, and then if it's OP, we can restrict it for the next time. But still, we had 2 groups, and 2 water decks were in Group A, where or maybe 3 water decks in Group A, and both water decks managed to top and qualify for the top cut. And yeah, so I think, yeah, water has proven to be a really good deck, not like broken because of the restriction. And I think the restriction was fine. Maybe for the next time you can like put Coral at 3 and Hulkus at 3. But I don't think like putting them to 4 will prove that water is not the best deck. It will prove like the other way. But the question is here, like, do you need a proof or not? Yeah, this tournament has like proven like nothing in my opinion because it's only like a small sample size, and I managed to win the tournament with Monolight. But I think if water is built against Monolight, then Monolight has just no chance with like the Crystal Paladin. And even Mono Water player decided to cut the Coral completely since it was only at 2 and decided to go for like more early game aggro stuff with like Aqua Guard, Spin Slicer, some more Aqua Vehicle even, so playing some suboptimal cards in my opinion, just to get some bait for the Crystal Spin Slicer. And when I play like Xerius into Palaolesis, suddenly Crystal Spin Slicer can't attack anymore. It's, yeah. And also, which was like a pretty good card in this deck, but we will go over like one by one. I think like the lower Giga Xerius both are like evolution baits for like the Quace, also Arcbine here. Palaolesis is pretty standard to protect your board against some mass removal from fire. And yeah, the 4 Rias, 4 Magris, also pretty standard. Let's talk about some non-standard stuff in my opinion. Let's talk about Miqut the Oracle. If you guys don't know what this card does, if you play a Guardian, you can choose one of the opponent's creatures and tap it. So this is like the only way how you can kill opponent's creatures, by tapping it and then run over them. And that's why I also play like Meal and Mesabana. So Meal, another tap effect, also bait for Grace. So turn 2 Xerius, turn 3 Meal can also kill some early stuff like Hulkus, Aqua Guard, and so on. And Mesabana, underrated card, really overperformed. The 5k like can block the Crystal Spin Slicer on its own. Mesabana plus Petrova can block something like Photosight from Darkness, which you auto lose against otherwise. Also, Mesabana plus Petrova can block Alzonius, which was relevant because the other Monolight player was on the Gladiator version, which I think is a bit more sub-optimal since like the Guardian package with like Miqut is just better. And his thought process was play like Juliana, Petrova, Alcyonos, so it can't be targeted by darkness and water stuff, which is also reasonable. And then maybe some odd choices, only 2 Holy R but 3 Colon. But again, Colon comes down earlier, is a buddy, taps some of the opponent's stuff, then Mesabana, Zarius, whatever can run over it. In hindsight, maybe I would play 2 Colon, 3 Holy Hour, because in the Monolight mirror match, Holy Hour is definitely better, since you can tap everything from the opponent and then kill their Rias without triggering the Rias, and also only like 1 Colon tapping the Rias doesn't help when the opponent has like 1 or 2 other blockers to protect it. So yeah, Holy Hour was better there. Maybe switch to like 2 Colon, 3 Holy Hour. But this format was like really something like rock, paper, scissors. So Light wins against like Mono Fire and Mono Nature, but loses against Mono Darkness, and then is with the restriction maybe evenish against Mono Water. But again, if the Water is playing Coral, is playing like 2 or 3 Crystal Paladin, is playing some Merfolk Engine, getting some card advantage, then it's really, really hard for you. Like building a board, a bigger board, then play Paladin and take over everything. Maybe then you maybe rebuild the board with some blockers, then another Paladin comes down. I don't know. And meanwhile, Water I think wins against everything, maybe except Light, where it's I think even. Mono Fire, not sure about this. Mono Nature, yeah, could have some good matchups here, but yeah, completely gets destroyed by Light. Like some early stuff with Diamondia maybe, or just like basic Polygon, Sniper Mosquito, Mushroom, Brosam Tribe, Beastfolk Evolution, like Bark Whip, Pinsir Scarab, and so on, just like early aggression. Also with Mono Fire, if they play like 4 Comet Missile, 4 Volcanic Arrows, 4 Wickable Screwdriver, it can also be hard for Monolight. And also I don't have like I had a version where I played also Juliana and Belix, so more early stuff to defend against that, but then last second changed for Mesabana, since yeah, it's also a Guardian for Miqut, and yeah, the stuff I said earlier. So definitely correct there. But yeah, Mono Fire Rush could also be some a bit problematic if they have like all their Comet Missile, Volcanic Arrows, Wickable Screwdriver turn 2 in hand, and then yeah, you have to play like 2 blockers at once, so you can like counter attack the Screwdriver. And also like with some Monomorph Fire mid-range was pretty tough, because like Seeing Wave, when you don't see Paralysis, pretty much kills everything. And then up until turn 5 with Rias also, which is pretty bad. And also like Stark Randu in this deck in the Mono Fire version had caused me some problems, because when you boost something with Petrova and Paralysis, suddenly Stark Randu is live and just kill it. Yeah, and also yeah, with there was a combination with Shagrandu and Fist of Forever, which was like I didn't expect that, because when Shagrandu attacks the creature with 6k or more, it gets the power attacker, not for this one attacks, but until end of turn, and then it can just untap with Fist of Forever and attack again. So it's basically a board clear. Yeah, Arcbind is more like a finisher, so if you establish a board, evolve like something, even if evolve like Rias when you don't need it anymore into Arcbind, just tap everything the opponent does and kill it. And then for Petrova, I think also is needed, maybe unusual, playing 4 off, but again, untargetable by Light Darkness, and can also like boost something to counter attack. So again, my fear was something like Crystal Lancer out of water. So you have like, I don't know, a Miqut, a Mesabana on the board. You can't block it, but then when it attacks, you play Petrova, boost something over to 8k, and then it can run over it. Also the same with Alcyonos, which came up boosting like Guardian Mesabana, or boosting like Initiate, so Quaze Valkyrie can attack over Alcyonos, and against like the non-mirror match, so Fire, Water, Darkness, and Nature, Petrova will never boost the opponent's races. So definitely a card I'm happy to put in like a 4 off. Yeah, so in total we have like some small statistic here. So the first Classic 05 tournament I went 3-1-7-3 in total, and then the second one I went 7-0 with 14 and 2 score. So only lost 2 games over 7 matches. But to be fair, there was like one bye, so one player dropped, so this should be like um, 6-0 and like 12-2. This was like the most shaky one. Went 4-2 in the group stage and then 2-0 in the Top Gun with like 14-8, so dropping quite a lot of games here. And yeah, Monosif was also like pretty uh, clear in only losing 2 games again. So yeah, the next webcam tournament is like a DM1 till DM5 format. I don't I didn't join that. It's not like that interesting for me to build a deck for this format. I already know that like 2 decks I have in mind are the best decks in the format. But I think looking at the Finnish Mega Meet, which is this summer, the format is like some playground, some test field for people joining the Mega Meet to see how their deck is performing. And so we have, I think, a lot of players joining this format as well. Let's see. Yeah, 12 people playing the webcam tournament. So good luck to them. And yeah, let's see if I join another tournament in the future, join the 5th tournament, and how I perform there. Yeah, pretty happy with my performance. Also pretty happy with my decks. Like from all the decks I played, I would only change like 1 or 2 cards. Here I would say this deck is pretty good. Maybe find space for one more Mesabana since it really overperformed. Yeah, in the other decks, here again the one change I mentioned earlier. And here I think also like one change, and then yeah, I'm pretty happy in total. If you have like any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Also join our Discord server. Hosted by Darkson and me. Join the Sasso server for some Classic 05 content. Join the Furin's server for some webcam tournament stuff in different formats. And yeah, I will see you guys in the battle zone. See you guys on our next live stream, which is always on last Sunday of each month, where I stream the top 8 from our monthly Duel Masters DM TCG 1 to 12 Bombazar Band format. And yeah, have a great one. Until then, Spalding out. Bye bye.